how the timing for GCCs in India and South India, of course, seems almost perfect. First, the tighter H-1B visa norms, and then a push for a GCC policy in the context of this climate like Maharashtra has done. But given that you're seeing a bulk of these investments come into the South Indian office markets, especially in Hyderabad and Chennai, and even Bangalore for that matter, what exactly is it in these parts that is pushing investment here, Rishi?
Yeah, thank you, Jude, first of all, for giving us the opportunity to be here. So if you look at the commercial real estate, the office space in India is typically now crossed a billion square feet of office space. And South contributes almost, you can say more than 50, to be precise, almost 52% of this is basically the office space, total office space stock in India is coming from South. So that's the first factor to look at. So South definitely has a huge momentum going for it. The South has the scale, and South also has a advantage of head start. If you look at the whole thing started with Bangalore and then Hyderabad and all of that. So as a natural evolution, the quality of talent that is there and the companies which started as offshore development centers here, they all have scaled up, evolved. That has worked to the advantage. The other factor is there is a lot of fungibility within the southern states. If people have to move from Hyderabad to Bangalore, vis-a-vis moving from, say, Delhi to Bangalore, I think there is a lot of much more portability of talent within the three cities, the big cities over there. So that's a big advantage. And then there is a very healthy competition among the southern states when it comes to attracting the new GCCs and companies and all of that. Plus, if you look at the gender diversity, the literacy levels, the quality of education and all of that, I think, and then the number of tier 2 cities, if you see in South India with Coimbatore leading the pack, followed by a couple of cities in Kerala and all that. And then you just mentioned in your news a while ago about Andhra, like the big data center coming up there. So I think those are the factors where we see that a large part of momentum is built up for South, and that's where you see a very substantial part of the GCCs that are coming to India are growing in South India.
No, absolutely, Rishi. In fact, like you said, the southern triangle, Hyderabad, Bengaluru and Chennai, in relatively close proximity is no doubt a key determinant of this investment, including, of course, the fact that you're seeing a lot more indicators like gender diversity and so on as far as South India is concerned. But it isn't just South India. In fact, GCCs have also made their presence felt pan-India, accounting for a third of all office space transactions, according to Knight Frank. So what is the growth outlook figure like for this segment, both for the overall office space market, India and the South?
Yeah. So if you have to quote, you mentioned about the Knight Frank report, if you see the year-on-year movement, about 24% more space has been absorbed compared to last year, which is a very, very substantial uptake, considering that we already were talking about large base last year. And then if you look at more specifically the GCCs, about 7 to 8% growth in GCCs is happening continuously. And so we definitely see that going forward, there will be a healthy uptake. Maybe this 33% that we talked about, a third, I definitely see this going up, maybe by say 5-6 percentage points higher. So we definitely see that this number could be around 40% next year of the total new real estate that gets added in India from one third today.
That growth number keeps going up, doesn't it? There's also a rub-off effect, interestingly, Rishi, as well, that we've begun seeing in terms of the big GCC push in South India. For instance, you at IndiQube, in the co-working segment, are also seeing GCCs account for 44% of your client base.
Yes.
Is this share likely to grow for you in the medium term?
So I think, let me talk from our industry point of view, what is working. So if you look at the GCC is not just a Fortune 100 phenomena. Today, if you look at typically Fortune 2000 companies, a lot of unicorns in the Bay Area, irrespective of the nationality, a lot of those kind of companies are coming to India. That is one thing which is going well for us. Second thing is that it's an evolution. Any GCC will start with say 50, 100 people, and then over a period of time scale up over there. And third factor is today the reality is jobs are going where people are. Like if you see somebody like me came from Lucknow 2000 miles to work in Bangalore, but today that's not the case. Jobs are going where people are. So I think if you look at all these three factors combined, then GCCs which are in the early stage of evolution or which are not very large, like a Fortune 100, typically they tend to look for managed office spaces or the flex office spaces as we call it. over there. And so anything less than 2,000 seats becomes a sweet spot for companies in our industry. And that's where we see that very large growth is happening over there. And the other factor is that GCCs by nature prefer grade A office spaces. So, for example, suppose you want to go to a large tech park and you say, I want 500 seats. The large tech parks, most of them are operated by REITs today. They are more excited about working with many much larger size companies. And that is where, if you see, there is a paradox. A smaller company doesn't fit into their business model. So naturally, those companies are looking at flex guys to get good quality spaces. Flex guys also want a lot of flexibility, and they want like a plug and play kind of a setup. So keeping all this in mind is where we are seeing that that's happening. Yeah.
True. So what do you think will become of vacancy levels, in both in flexi, co-working spaces, IndiQube, of course, is one of them, in the overall co-working space industry by way of continuing GCC investments?
So we have been having, Jude, very healthy occupancy levels. If you look at as a company, we typically have been operating around 85-86% occupancy levels. And definitely like the GCC, that growth and all that is helping us. And since we are a fast-growing company, we definitely do not want to breach the 90% occupancy levels because we want to have a lot of headroom for growth. So I think the occupancy levels in our industry and in particular with IndiQube will hover around 85-86% kind of a number in basically a year's time.
Right. But Rishi, I'm tempted to ask you how sustainable these GCC investments are in the first place. While we in India tend to wax eloquent about these investments, the pace and the volume of these investments, especially given the pedigree of the global names at the center of these GCC money that's coming in, there's also a perspective these companies themselves are looking at the centers as yet another back office. In fact, often referring to them overseas as their teams in India or their teams in Bangalore or Hyderabad. So do you feel that there's a risk of a GCC bubble that might end up popping soon?
So, Jude, I can say that it is not at all a bubble. It's an evolution. And if we notice, typically a decade back, we used to refer to this global centers as ODCs, offshore development centers, back office kind of centers. That's how we used to refer to them. Now, and at that point of time, if you see the primary, you can say sponsor for sending work to India used to be the CTO or the CIO. Now, today you look at, today the chief marketing officer is sending work here in India. The CFO organization is sending work. The HR organization is sending work. So today, the amount of work that is coming to India is a lot more broad-based in terms of functionality, in terms of complexity. And today, most of the GCCs are acting like co-located centers. The other fact I will say is that if I look at a decade back in 1,000 people company GCC, you will see 2-3 global roles. Today you see more than a dozen roles, which are global roles, which people are playing out of India. So I think, and the other fact is, it was more of a North America phenomena, if you see. But now we are seeing a lot of European countries, basically Scandinavian countries, or you look at East Asian countries, lots of work is coming over here. So today, the nature of work, the nature of GCCs is very, very diverse. Typically, right from manufacturing to fintech to you name the sector or logistics, you have work coming to India. So definitely, this is a natural evolution, and I don't see there is any bubble, to be honest, building up over there.
Right. Quick last word then before I let you go. Maharashtra has formalized its GCC policy, and if we're to see other states in the south do it as well, what are the key bottlenecks that you think will need easing out?
So if I look at the GCC promotion policies, most of the states are talking about like the tier 2 and tier 3 cities, that they want to move a lot of jobs there. As I said, that jobs are going where people are. Now, today as IndiQube, we are present in 7 to 8 tier 2 cities. And I can tell you it's a chicken and egg problem in these cities. There is hardly good quality buildings, grade A infrastructure available in these cities. So that is a huge problem that most of the companies are facing. And think about it, like 20-25 years back, the government of Tamil Nadu set up Tidal Park, or the government of Karnataka set up the ITPL in Whitefield. Now those kind of basically public-private projects have to come into tier 2 cities before we can expect a lot of private sector to have the confidence to set up centers. And today you look at the rentals in a lot of these tier 2 cities, they are almost at par with what you will find on the periphery of Bangalore. So definitely the cost of living is less, but the real estate costs are not low in those cities. So I think, and then the whole attitude, when you talk to with different departments in Chennai and you go to Coimbatore, you see a sea difference in the attitude of the government officials. The learning curve is still not there. So I think those are the places where I believe that the governments of the day will have to look at setting up mini tidal parks or mini ITPLs over there and bringing a lot of single window and back it up with incentives over there. So that's how I see that the GCC story. And then now we are seeing that a lot of GCCs a lot of governments are setting up not schematic setups like healthcare, for example, if you look at, or fintech. Those are the kind of places where we are seeing more team-based investments and clusters are being set up across different states. Yeah.